Continuing here. Um, yeah, so whenever we ask for something good, really valuable, he's quick to give it to us. Okay, a generous portion and shaken down and all that is written in Scripture, kind of like that. That and the material stuff. When you care, when you realize that what, I've got to turn this over to God to invite Him in to take care of me financially. Okay, but to understand, bottom line is I can't wait for the day when no semblance of money exists. No way for any man to get an advantage over another man. That's wrong. That's immoral. That's ungodly. Yet we're steeped in that. Okay, so when we ask God for clarity of thought, when we ask Him for logic and reason, for the right opinion on issues, controversy, He's going to give it to you in spades. He's just going to hand it out to you, and you're going to get it. It's going to be overflowing. You're going to be overflowing with knowledge and wisdom that you're going to be able to share with others in a clear, concise manner, because you've been granted, you've been gifted with those most valuable of all gifts of just realizing, hey, freedom is just, it's already in your heart. You know what I mean? And that's where the lack of freedom is in people's hearts. So if God gives them a way out, an escape hatch, through trusting Him and saying, look, if you're found worthy and deserving, then you're going to get that world that you're preparing yourself for, that one I want you to have, where all my children are living together in peace and harmony and safety and security and prosperity and contentment and bliss and joy and all those things we all want. Not some of the time, all constantly. Just a perpetual enjoyment of life, man. We're going to have better bodies that aren't going to perish. I mean, there's going to be this huge swath of physical human beings with flesh and blood bodies on the earth that are going to make the transition, as written in Scripture, through the end of one age, the beginning of a new age, in the twinkling of an eye, as it's written. This is where the rapture thing comes from. So, I mean, there's all this incentive to just, do the right thing and turn to God for advice and counsel and comfort and encouragement and just all the answers and the right opinion about everything. Okay, and intellectual honesty. And if you say, well, hey, Lord, is it possible that my feeling threatened, my self-interest being threatened by believing this way, has it kept me from the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, as seen through your eyes? And then be ready to say, yes, that's true. So He's the one that can help us with every problem we have. Intellectual dishonesty, being a liar. And we're all subject to being liars, right? So we all get that we need God to understand. And about the money, we've got to separate, because we can't wait for the day when it doesn't exist. In the meantime, I know I got to use it. And I hate the fact that everything I do for humanity is conflated with the money. So He gets it. Invite Him in, and He's going to make everything crystal clear, logical, reasonable, sensible, scientific, mathematics. Everything's involved in faith. And this is the only avenue that we can really trust, is in our owner, in our Creator, that loves us the way we need to be loved and understood the way we need to be understood. Okay, that's it. And so we can't depend on any human being to do that for us. I mean, it's fine to get advice and tricks and tips and tools for dealing with different stuff. I don't like this idea of putting people on drugs when they're a little neurotic, because that's what happens. I mean, normal people get neurotic. They live in a world that's just filled with madness, rife with madness. We're all marinated, imbued in madness. And it's tough, man. It's really hard being human. And so I empathize. The older I get, the more empathetic I am. And I just want to share and give, because, man, I mean, He's made it clear to me. I feel like I have a relationship with my owner. I feel like, He's not going to desert me. And and that good things are coming, and it's going to get rough. I know there's going to be very unpleasant things. I've already been through tons of. I mean, who hasn't had an abscessed tooth pulled? I mean, that's a very unpleasant thing. So I've had a lot of bad stuff. I lost a son, sudden infant death. I lost my mother at a very tender age of 21. I've been through a lot. Lost my dad. I mean, I'm very vulnerable. I've got two awesome daughters in their 30s. I mean, so it's tough. I've had my share of suffering, and I know that God might have more suffering worse than I've ever experienced before around the corner. I mean, look at Job. Remember the Tower of Siloam. He lets bad stuff happen to anybody. So I'm not exempt. I'm just saying, look, He's my source for comfort and coping and contending and encouragement to carry on and keep fighting the good fight and keep trying to convince people to come out of the darkness into light, come out of confusion, come out of Babylon, and into clarity of thought. And knowing the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth is your only hope, our only hope, the only hope. And God's a granter of happiness, and there's a lot of ingredients. There's several ingredients. And know what the priorities are, but we've got to be free. If we're not free, okay, then all bets are off in terms of finding any true happiness. That's it. And we've got to be out of fear. We can't be in fear, so we've got to have a sense of security. Okay? I'm talking about the kind of, not the organic insecurity that we feel as being creatures that are mortal creatures subject to dying at any moment. Okay, that's another story. I'm talking about the invented stuff, the invented austerity imposed upon people to keep them poor. Okay, they know that people are going to figure it out sooner or later, with or without me telling them. They're going to figure it out, and that's why they're already ready with the, well, we got to cull the population. You understand, it's to save the planet. So you want to save the planet, so you've got to go die, you and your whole family and the vast majority of the earth. This is what they're saying essentially with the new monument they built, this New World Order cabal and the Georgia Guidestones. Once they get the earth down to 500 million, and all these things they say sound so altruistic and pure-hearted and all this rubbish. And this is the God of this world. This is how he operates. He's trying to usurp God's position. Okay, and it looks like he's won. I mean, it's been 2,000 years or so since Christ walked the earth. And they would say, well, look, he's a defeated foe. Look who's running the world. Satan got away with murdering JFK, took over the issuance of currency, the money printing operations, got all that satanic power at his fingertips. He put the American people in debt, so people are born into God knows how many trillions of dollars of debt, unimaginable amounts of debt that can stack up to the moon many times over. If you put dollar bills, it's absurd. The whole thing is monstrous. We're in so much trouble, and only God can help us out. I guess that's the main point I'm trying to convey, is that that's our only hope, is just turn to God, to think straight, and to help us, and to be gentle with us as possible. I mean, it's getting weird, man. I mean, with this fire, this campfire here in Butte County, just shattering the records for lives lost in a wildfire in California history, shattering the records. I mean, twice as much at least, or more. I think maybe we're approaching 3 times as many people that have ever died ever in history in California wildfires. Do you understand? So we've reached biblical level sledgehammer time. God's bringing the hammer down on us. He's letting these things happen. Look at all the other stuff through history he's let happen, all the bad stuff that's happened, so that it would get our attention, so we would say, turn to him. In our weakness, his strength is perfected. And we're feeling pretty beaten and pretty weak. We wonder why we're surviving. Maybe it would have been better to not survive than to have to face carrying on and living. I mean, you know how many deaths are going to be? You know how much crap, toxins people have been breathing? We've literally been breathing the cremated remains of human beings, have all been breathed into the lungs of the Buttians, people living in Butte County. Okay? That's what we're going through. And it's spreading throughout the state. And probably it's going to blow to the 4 winds and go across the country and across seas. I mean, some of this smoke, it's that vast, this wildfire. And Jesus, I mean, just imagine. So a lot of people are going to end up dying from this secondhand smoke, and they're not going to be counted as statistics on the official death count because it didn't happen right away. But anyhow, folks, I guess I've got to leave the pontificating there and get on to recent events. But God's always wooing us, and we've got to just start listening. He's always trying to get us to work with him and to fix our problems and just to live logically the way he wants us to and get along as one big family. And until we really take the bull by the horns and say, look, these are simple problems to fix. If we work together here and don't buy in this division that's been created by these monsters, then we can just go forth. And damn it, I'm telling you, man, I know what I'm talking about. Look, this basic income, it's just one way to skin the cat. sound economic policies. I mean, by now, if JFK had gotten his way, there'd be prosperity worldwide. This would be a non-issue. In the meantime, we've got to get really serious and really demand justice if we're going to get any. Because it's not being handed out. So you got to know the issues, know what's happened, know it's not by incompetence, oversight, or anything else like that. This is by deliberation. We have the social, political, and economics problems we have locally in America and worldwide because the top dogs want us to. The top evildoers, the grand puppeteers want these problems. This is how they stay relevant. This is how they wield their power and control over us. And this is how the job gets done. So, boy, oh boy. Stuff I've already talked about. I got notes, I've got talking points, I've got stuff, recent current event type stuff written here in this this section I'm getting into. But locally, the sheriff warned businesses about price gouging, so I don't think that'll be an issue. People respect the sheriff. I'm sure some people are tempted, but now they wouldn't dare because now there's a chance they will get busted. They don't want that humiliation. So it's good the sheriff came out and said that. Seems like a pretty good guy, which typically sheriffs are pretty good guys. I get antenna TV where I am. I don't have cable, so I have not been getting any national news. I can't comment on anything that's been going on nationally or internationally because I've been out of the loop for the last week. Normally I get a CBS and NBC. You know what I do with all these politicians? I put them all on minimum wage. Try me. I mean exactly what I just said. That's it, man. You want to be a politician? From the president on down to the city council, you're getting minimum wage. That's it. That's it. And no, there's not going to be any lobbying tolerated. No funny business, no monkey business, no fishy business. Use the national minimum wage. That's it. That's funny, huh? So California politicians would be getting paid less than the California minimum wage. How do you like that? There were some survivor stories. This one woman having a hard time not breaking down, but she barely escaped with her life. And she described how she got in this woman's car and she literally had melted the seat. Her butt was so hot from this fire, just barely escaping the flames. But you know about this homelessness issue relative to this, now we got all these evacuees that are homeless. It'd be good. I really like to see something positive, but you know what? I'm not counting my chickens before they're hatched. So I want to see it happen. Yes, I do. I want to see homelessness ended. Let Butte County set a new example for the state and for the nation and for the planet. That'd be wonderful. Make me proud of my native Californian state. Make me proud that I'm a resident of Butte County. I'd love to see that more than anything else. Just seize this opportunity to just end homelessness in Butte County. Yes, yes. Let's start the ball rolling. I'm all for it. But again, I'm not holding my breath. I need to see it. The proof is in the pudding. Because what's more likely to happen is all these people that had insurance on their homes and And the majority of California residents now are renters, and very few of them have renters insurance. A few years ago, nobody heard of renters insurance. When the contents of a house burn up, presumably the owner of the house is going to have those things insured. So the renter should get insurance on that. But again, they're homeless. These homes are going to take many, months to rebuild, if not years, because contractor work is going to be all booked up and it's going to be tough going. Nevertheless, going to be a lot of work for builders around this area. Um, but the demand on rental housing is going to be enormous. So, this is a good reason to warn them not to gouge. Um, Bad time to gouge, to really kicking us when we're down. So I'm glad the sheriff again came out